Hey everyone, it's Pat Brown here, doing another race analysis, race review here for the Lower Providence Crit. So for this year, it's actually a little bit different. In years prior, there were one Lower Providence Crits, and now there are two for this year, which is excellent. It's an awesome course. You'll have basically just four nice wide sweeping corners, and then just a slight uphill into the finish. Now for today, my Garmin actually had some weird data which actually kind of corrupted everything. So I was able to tease out just around the last 2 or 3 laps here of the data, but besides that, I don't have any data on this race. Really interesting finish. My best finish yet here for the elite men's P12, and yeah, we'll get into it. So we're just going into going around the first lap here. So nice and wide. Pavement is nice, and so now let's talk about the wind. So as we're going up, like we're finishing on the last straightaway, the wind's blowing from kind of from the back, and then also from left to right. So right here, it's actually pretty sheltered. We're getting a little bit of a crosswind, and now we're going into the second to last turn. Now, if we were on the outside, you could pretty much pedal through all the turns here, even when we were really jamming it, which was nice. But when you're on the inside, it still isn't quite wide enough, unless you have really short cranks or you're really trying to lean the bike upright as you're going. So, as you can see on the first lap, people are already starting to try to move up, trying to possibly get into a break. But this course, typically, because it's nice and wide, you can see everything, isn't very conducive to a breakaway. Okay, so into the last turn, a little bit of a crown on the road, and it's just a very slight uphill drag. Again, the wind is hitting us from the right side, and kind of like a right tailwind. So when we make this right turn, it is pretty much a straight crosswind for the most part, but also a little bit of a headwind, which makes it a little bit tough. So that's the first lap, and that kind of gives you an idea on the course here. So now I want to get into a talking point that I have here. You can see Phil's in my rear camera here, a teammate, and so we're just kind of like middle of the race here. Really, we're just sitting in, just letting things kind of develop as they develop, just saving the legs a little bit. So you can see we're all pretty much strung out, but then all of a sudden it looks like there's a huge gap in front of us. So this typically isn't really concerning, um, because the people typically right in front that open up the gap will typically try to close that. And then there's a few people behind us that want to that want to sit in, save energy, but typically want to stay in the race. So unfortunately here, since everything is all lined out, it makes it a little bit tougher. So you want to really make sure that you're always, even when you're trying to relax, you're always trying to keep your eyes up the road, because if a split happens, if you're not paying attention and you're just having your head down, looking at your stem, then what can happen is you get gapped off the back. You either need to do a large surge in energy, or possibly you never see the main group again if they continue going quickly. So I decided to bite the bullet. I decided to make the jump, go across, try not to burn up too much energy, and that's kind of that, because I wanted to be there for the finish. So not much else happened here. Um, since the beginning of the race. I mean, some breaks went, but they pretty much were always getting brought back. So I was pretty confident it would all come down to a sprint. But as it goes here, two guys got up the road, and for some reason they were given a leash, and that was that. So we're about 2 laps to go here. And so during that 2 laps to go, I was looking over my shoulder. I was looking for Phil here, who's just in the my front left, right in front of me now, with the Pride and the Pride Mobility and the NEPA Discover NEPA on the legs and the bottom there. So we had talked about earlier in the race that if he was feeling good, he'd do as much work in that as possible. And I told him, hey, we're around 2 laps to go. It's around then, around 2, 3 laps to go. I really want to try to move up, and so Phil did a great job for me here, and that's what a lot of good teamwork can get you in the right position to set up a teammate for a really good placing. So I told him, I'm just going to sit on your wheel, and one thing that I like to do, and I didn't do a lot of, is just try to talk. And so what I'm going to say now is to move off to the left here, which is tough because that's putting him into the wind. Um, but that's to give me a good draft. So, Phil, what had happened was a guy to my right was pushing me off left, which was taking me out of my teammate's draft. And so, if I talk to my teammate Phil here, then he'll be able to move over, so then I'm getting the appropriate draft, so I'm benefiting from his work. So we're coming into 1 to go. I'm talking to Phil here saying, hey, how much more do you have left? And he said, that's pretty much it. So 1 to go here. And now I need to spend some energy to make sure I have some good positioning, even though I'm going to be on the incorrect side. So I'm going to be being hit with a cross headwind here. Uh, Still worth trying to move over left as far as I can, while also trying to avoid getting boxed in. So, still fighting some wind here, and just like Alec Ratzel here with Keystone, I'm looking over my right shoulder, and if I have to surge to try to stay at the front, that's what I'll have to do. It's unfortunate here. There could have been 2 or 3 lead-out trains. We have Doylestown sitting on the front with Andrew Duddle, their sprinter, sitting second wheel here, which is a perfect spot for him. But I would think that Keystone could have done the same thing because I remember seeing 2, 3 guys up there. So that would have made things a little bit easier for everyone else and their sprinter, which is Alex Ratzel, who's right in front of me here. So we have two corners to go here. Or excuse me, we're on the second to last straightaway, and just like 2 years, 3 years prior, sitting in a position where I'm a little bit boxed in, which I'd ideally like the lane off to the right so I can keep moving up to the right. Again, bumping some people, and that bump then just cost me a few pedal strokes. Coming into the last turn, and then I'm just boxed in here. I try to get as close as I can. Ended up touching wheels with that guy who was just off to my left here, and I had to back off the power. So that made the finish just. I wasn't able to use all the power that I had, which was a little bit frustrating. But again, we're coming around. We're going to be going, this is 2 corners to go. So again, that guy on the Cannondale here really kind of made things a bit more difficult for me. And so right here, it's pretty much like a cross tailwind. We're putting out some good power just so people can't move up really, but still it's. So the winning move went off here to the left. So Andrew Duddle kind of fed off of those guys moving up, and he just had the power. So if you look at this guy on the left here with me, I actually have to back off the power because I get bumped, and my front wheel touches that rider's rear wheel, which is really unnerving. But then the door kind of opens as Alex off to my right in the in the black, white, and purple. As he has expended a little bit too much energy, he has to sit down, and I'm able to keep on moving up places. Good for good for fifth in the field sprint, but since there were two guys up the road, we got seventh overall. Still able to get some points for USAC upgrading to Cat 1 here, and my best P12 race result thus far. So I hope you like some of the action here, especially bumping elbows in the final turns and in the straight. And feel free to subscribe and leave a comment, and we'll see you soon here. Thanks.